You're listening to WKRL 89.1. And if you can hear my voice, do me one favor before anything else. Look at your phone. Just look at it. Don't pick it up. Don't unlock it. Just look at the screen. And if it's dark, keep it dark. I'll explain why in a minute. I need a minute. My name is Wes Cardell. I've done the overnight desk at this station for 11 years. 11 years of playing music nobody requests to truckers and insomniacs, and people who can't sleep because the house is too quiet. I know this board better than I know my own kitchen. Every fader, every dead spot, every hum. So when I tell you something is wrong with the phone lines tonight, I want you to understand that I am not a nervous man. I'm a bored man. Boredom is the whole job. It started at 2:14 this morning. The request line lit up. That's normal. What isn't normal is that the caller ID read a number I recognized. A number that belongs to a listener named Dwayne, who used to call in every Thursday to argue about ball games. Dwayne died in March. I went to the service. I helped carry him. And at 2:14 this morning, his number called my station. I let it ring. I told myself it was reassigned, recycled, some kid with Dwayne's old digits. That's the reasonable answer. I believed it for about 90 seconds. Then the second line lit up, and the third. I'm going to keep talking, because talking is the only thing I know how to do in this chair. Stay with me. Don't answer anything yet. Here's where I stop being reasonable, so bear with me while I try to hold on to it anyway. I picked up line 1. I shouldn't have. But 11 years of reflex is 11 years of reflex. And part of me, the tired, stupid, hopeful part, wanted it to be Dwayne. Wanted the reasonable answer to be wrong in the nicest possible way. I said, WKRL, you're on the air. Go ahead. And there was breathing. Not heavy, not menacing. Just the ordinary sound of a person on the other end of a line. The little rustle of someone getting comfortable in a chair. And then a voice I have not heard since March said, Wes, you still doing the overnight? I want to be careful here, because this is the part where you decide I'm lying or I'm cracking up, and I don't blame you. I've decided it about myself 3 times already tonight. It was Dwayne. It was his flat vowels, his little wheeze at the end of a sentence from the emphysema that eventually got him. It was the way he always said my name like a question, even when it wasn't one. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. And Dwayne, the voice, the thing, whatever you want to call it, didn't get angry that I went quiet. It didn't beg. It didn't do any of the things a scam or a prank would do to keep me hooked. It just said, you're going to want to write some things down, buddy. There's not a lot of time, and I got a list. A list. Then the line clicked off on its own. And on the monitor, the caller ID for line 1 changed. It stopped saying Dwayne's number. It started saying a number I've never seen. 14 digits. Phones don't have 14 digits. I'm looking at it right now. Let me tell you what I know for certain, because certainty is going to get thinner from here. And I want a record of the solid ground before we leave it. I know it's 2:41 in the morning. I know I'm in Studio B, which is a windowless room the size of a walk-in closet, foam on the walls, 1 door, a board, 3 monitors, and a coffee maker that's been broken since the Bush administration. I know the station's main phone system runs 6 lines. I know all 6 are lit right now, and they've been lit for the last 20 minutes. Steady, patient, no ringing anymore. Just lit, like they're waiting to see if I'll come back. I know that the automated log, the thing that timestamps every call whether I answer or not, shows 41 incoming calls since 2:14. I've pulled up the numbers. I've cross-checked the 11 I recognize. Every single one of the 11 belongs to somebody who's dead. Not sick, not moved away, dead. I know because they were listeners, and when a regular dies, someone always calls in to tell me, because I'm the guy they talked to at 3 in the morning when nobody else was up. There's Dwayne. There's a woman named Patrice who ran the diner off Route 9 until her heart quit last winter. There's a kid, Bobby Sung, 19, wrapped his car around a pole 2 years back. Used to call in death metal requests I couldn't play. Bobby Sung's number is line 4. It's been lit for 20 minutes. I have not picked it up. I'm telling you all of this because I need you to understand I am checking my work. I am doing the reasonable thing at every step. And the reasonable thing keeps running out. Strong opening, so here it is plainly. I told you not to answer your phones. And I need to correct myself already, because it's worse than that. I assumed this was happening to me. To the station. That I'd made some enemy, or the lines got spoofed, or grief finally caught up with a man who spends every night alone in a foam box talking to the dark. Then, at 2:49, I did the thing you do when you don't trust your own equipment. I took out my personal cell, my own phone, the one in my pocket, nothing to do with the station. It was already ringing. Silent, screen lit, no sound. I keep it on mute in the booth, but ringing. The name on the screen was my father. My father passed 4 years ago this October. I never deleted his contact. A lot of people don't. You keep the name because deleting it feels like a second funeral. His name was sitting there on my screen, lit up, buzzing against my palm, and under it, where the number should be, it said those same 14 digits. The same 14 every dead caller resolved to on the station board. Same number, every line, every phone, mine included. So it isn't the station. It isn't me making enemies. Whatever is calling tonight is using one line, one number, and it is reaching every phone that will let it through. I put my cell in the drawer. I shut the drawer. It's still buzzing in there. I want to be honest about why I started broadcasting this instead of keeping it to myself. It wasn't courage. It was the opposite. I opened the mic because I could not stand to be the only person who knew. So around 3 o'clock, I killed the music bed, and I got on the air. And I did the least professional thing of my entire career. I told the truth, I said. This is going to sound insane, but if any of you are awake, if anyone out there has had a phone call in the last hour from someone who shouldn't be able to call you, call the studio. Tell me I'm not alone in this. I expected nothing. Maybe one drunk, maybe silence. Within 90 seconds, every one of the 6 lines that wasn't already lit by the dead cleared. Just cleared, dumped the calls, and refilled with living people. I could tell they were living because they were scared. And the dead, I've noticed, are not scared. The dead are calm. That's the worst part. I'll come back to that. The first live caller was a woman named Renata, driving a semi-eastbound on I-470, hands-free. And she was crying in that controlled way people cry when they still have to steer. She said, "My daughter just called me. My daughter, Emily. Emily's been gone since she was 6. She's been gone 11 years. And then she said the thing that made the hair on my arms stand up, because it matched. She told me to get a pen. She said she had a list. A list, not the same list. Renata's list wasn't Renata's daughter chatting. It was instructions, specific ones. I asked Renata what was on it. She went quiet for a second. And then she said, in a very small voice, it told me which overpass to be under at 4:52, and to be alone. Don't do that, I told her. Whatever it says, don't do that. Here's what I figured out in the first hour, and I want to walk you through it the way I walked through it, because the shape of it matters. At first, I thought the dead were just talking. Reunions. Grief made audible. Horrible, but at least explainable as some mass hallucination, some shared psychotic break, something a psychiatrist could put a name to. But then the lists started coming in, and the lists broke that theory in half. Every caller who got through described the same structure. A familiar voice, a dead voice, calm, patient, using their real name, telling them to get something to write with. And then a list. Times, places, sometimes objects, sometimes people to call, people to warn, people to avoid. The lists are all different, but they interlock. I had a man call in, Gerald, retired, lives out past the reservoir, and Gerald's dead wife told him to unplug the pump station at the reservoir at 4:40 exactly. 10 minutes later, a woman calls, panicking, saying her late brother told her the water was going to stop, and she wouldn't know why. Renata's overpass, Gerald's pump, the woman's water. They don't know each other. They're 100 miles apart. But the instructions fit together, like they were cut from the same sheet and handed out to strangers who'll never meet. That's not grief. Grief doesn't coordinate. I got a producer at home, my day job boss, Alan. I woke him up. I said, Alan, I need you to listen to the logs. I'm not crazy. And Alan, God bless him, listened for 4 minutes and then went very quiet and said, Wes, my mother just texted me. My mother doesn't have a phone anymore. We buried her with her rosary and no phone. What did the text say? I asked him. He read it to me. It said, almost time. Don't be scared. You have a job. Then he hung up. He hasn't called back. I've tried him 6 times. Let me give you the one solid thing, the one rule that held across every single caller, because you need it, and I need it. Nobody who stayed on the phone with the dead reported anything bad happening to them. Not one. No pain, no collapse, no dramatic horror. The dead are gentle. They ask you to write things down. They call you buddy, sweetheart, kiddo. They sound like they love you. And here's the thing, I think they do. I think that's real. The bad things only happen when people follow the lists. Renata almost went to that overpass. She told me she was already in the exhaust lane, already slowing down, already believing, because it was Emily's voice. And Emily said, be there at 4:52. It was another trucker on the CB who talked her out of it. A stranger who heard her on our broadcast and got on the radio and said, don't you dare, sister, don't you dare. So the only rule I trust so far is this. You can listen. You can even talk back. But do not do what they tell you. Because whatever this is, it is not calling to reunite with us. It's calling to move us, to position us, to have us unplug the pumps and stand under the overpasses and be somewhere at a specific time, alone. It's a work order, and we're the labor. I don't know who the client is. I got back on the mic at 3:40, and I said it as plain as I could. If you're dead, call. You can grieve. You can cry. You can say I love you. But when they hand you a list, you put the pen down. That held for exactly 11 minutes. Short one, because it happened fast. At 3:51, the calls changed. Up until then, the dead only spoke to the person they belonged to. Your mother called you. Dwayne called me. Emily called Renata. At 3:51, they started calling for other people. Renata called back, and this time, she wasn't crying. This time, she was flat and calm. And I did not like the calm. Because I've learned tonight that calm is the tell. She said, Wes, I have a list for you now. Not from my father, from her daughter, Emily. Emily had a list, Renata said, and the list had my name on it. Wes Cardell, the overnight man at 89.1. I said, "Don't read it to me." She read it to me anyway. It said, "Leave the building at 4:15. Take the stairs, not the elevator. Go to the parking lot. Look north." That's all. That's the whole list. It's the most reasonable list I've heard all night. There's nothing scary in it. Leave the building, take the stairs, look north. And that's exactly why my hands are shaking. They stopped needing the dead to reach me directly. Now they're using the living. Now the message can come from anyone. It's 3:54. I am not leaving this building at 4:15. Ask me again in 20 minutes. I need to widen this out, because I've been treating it like a local story, my little corner of the overnight. And it stopped being local a while ago. I just didn't want to look. At 4 o'clock, I did what I should have done an hour earlier. I checked the other stations. I've got a scanner and a cheap web stream aggregator, the thing we use to monitor competitors. And I started clicking through. The classical station out of the city off the air, just carrier hum. The big talk station, the 50,000-watt monster that covers 3 states still broadcasting. But it wasn't their normal host. It was a woman I didn't recognize, and she was doing exactly what I'm doing. Reading it live, taking calls, same story. Dead voices, lists. She said a word I hadn't thought to use, and it landed in my chest like a stone. She called them assignments. I clicked further. A trucker relay channel, a ham operator out of 2 counties over, an old guy, and he was the calmest voice I'd heard all night. And he said something I've been chewing on since. He said, "This is the 3rd time. You young folks don't remember. This happened smaller in '89 and smaller again in 2004. Nobody believed it because it was little. It's not little now. I don't know if that man is telling the truth. I have no way to check, but I filed it, because it's the first suggestion tonight that this thing has a history, that it comes and it goes, that it's a cycle and not an ending. Then I found the emergency band, the real one, the county alert channel that's supposed to carry weather warnings and amber alerts. It was carrying a list. An automated voice, the same flat text-to-speech that reads tornado warnings, was reading a list. Times, locations. And at the end of it, it said, "Compliance is not required. Compliance is requested. Thank you for your service." Thank you for your service. To what? I want to tell you about the substations, because this is where the list stopped being random and started looking like a blueprint. I've been mapping them. It's the only thing keeping me sane. The act of writing things on the whiteboard we use for the promo calendar. Wiping off morning show remote Saturday, and replacing it with a map of where the dead are sending people. Gerald's pump station at the reservoir. Renata's overpass on I-70. A caller named Priya, whose late father told her to open a specific gate at a rail yard at 4:45. A man whose dead son told him to be at the electrical substation on County Road 12 at 5 o'clock and to throw a specific breaker. Water, roads, rail, power. Every list is an instruction to touch a piece of infrastructure, to open something, unplug something, stop something, be positioned at something. And every timestamp is in the next hour. I got Priya to stay on the line while I talked her through not going to that rail yard. She was so close. She kept saying, "But he sounds so happy to talk to me. He hasn't sounded happy in years." And I said, I know. That's the hook. That's exactly the hook. You have to hang up on the happiness." She hung up on it. She's parked outside a gas station now, refusing to move. And every few minutes she calls back just to hear a living voice. I told her to keep doing that. Call me. Call anyone alive. Flood your own line with the living so the dead can't get a word in. Here's the part that scares me most about the map. If everyone follows their list, if the pumps go off and the breakers throw and the gates open and the roads fill with parked cars at overpasses, the county doesn't have a disaster. The county has a controlled shutdown. Clean, orderly, coordinated. Somebody is powering us down. And they're using the people we miss the most to do it. At 4:11, my father called the studio, not my cell in the drawer, the studio, line 2. And I know I said the dead had moved on to speaking through the living, that they didn't need to call directly anymore. I was wrong about that, or this was an exception. Or I don't understand the rules as well as I pretended to. Add it to the list of things I got wrong tonight. The caller ID said Dad. Just Dad. Not a number, not 14 digits. The way it's saved in my phone 20 years ago. Dad. I looked at that lit-up line for a long time. I had the mic open. I think some of you heard me breathing. I'm sorry about that. Here's what I need you to understand about my father. We didn't leave things well. He got sick fast, and I was working nights, always working nights. And I kept telling myself I'd drive up on my next day off. And there was always a reason the day off didn't come. And then there weren't any more days. I never said the things. You know the things. Everybody's got the things they didn't say. And there he was, line 2, offering me the chance. I want to tell you I was strong. I picked it up. I put it on the air. God help me, because I'd promised you the truth tonight. He said, Wesley. Nobody's called me Wesley since he died. He said, I'm not mad about the visits. I was never mad. I want you to know that before anything else. And I broke. I'll admit it. Right here on 89.1, I broke. Then he said, gentle as anything, now, you've got a job to do, son. Leave the building at 4:15. Take the stairs. Look north. It won't hurt. I promise it won't hurt. And that was how I knew for certain it wasn't him, because my father never made a promise he couldn't keep. Let me tell you why I hung up on my own father, so you can do it too, because more of you are going to get this call before the hour's out. It's 4:14 now. 1 minute to the deadline they keep giving me. And I've been sitting here doing the only thing I'm good at, which is listening, really listening, to the voices, the requests, the promises. The dead are patient. The dead are kind. The dead know things only the dead could know. My father's word, Wesley, the visits I never made. That's real information. I can't explain how they have it. But here's what I noticed. And it's small. And it's everything. They never answer questions. I asked my father, where are you? Nothing. I asked him, what happens when I look north? Nothing. I asked him, who's asking you to tell me this? And the warmth didn't waver. The love didn't flicker. He just came right back to the list. Leave the building, take the stairs, look north. A person you love, given 1 impossible minute to talk to you from the other side of death, would not spend it reading you a work order. They'd fight, they'd ramble, they'd ask about the dog, they'd say something you didn't expect. The dead tonight are not surprising anyone. And love is surprising. Love is the least efficient thing there is. Whatever's using their voices understands grief perfectly. It has studied us. But it doesn't understand love, because if it did, it wouldn't waste the reunion on a list. It's 4:15. I'm still in the chair. The stairs are 40 feet away and I can hear them from here. And I want you to know I can hear someone coming up them. The footsteps stopped at 4:17. Not at the studio door, at the bottom of the stairs, 3 floors down, and then just stopped. I've been staring at the little security monitor, the grainy black and white feed of the ground floor entrance, and there's a figure standing in the stairwell doorway. I can't make out a face. The resolution's garbage. But it's not moving. It's just standing there, angled up, the way you'd stand if you were waiting for someone to come down and meet you. I called building security. There's supposed to be a guard, Marcus, overnight in the lobby. Marcus didn't pick up. I called his cell. It rang once, and then a voice that was not Marcus said, "He's on his way up to help you, Wes. Isn't that nice?" It was Dwayne again. Back to Dwayne. Warm as ever. I hung up. Here's what I've pieced together, and I'm putting it out on the air because if it's happening here, it's happening where you are. The dead started on the phones, then they moved to the living, and now they're using the ones who followed their lists. The ones who left their buildings at 4:15 and took the stairs and looked north. The compliant ones. They went somewhere. They came back changed. And now they're the ones knocking. I don't think the figure in the stairwell is dead. I think it's someone who was alive an hour ago, who got a call from someone they missed, and who did what they were told. They're not attacking. That's the pattern that's held all night. They don't attack. They just come to the door, and they wait to walk you out. The figure in the stairwell just took one step up. I need to account for the ones who left, because in the last 20 minutes, the tone of the calls has changed. And I finally understand what following the list actually does. Gerald called. Gerald, who was going to unplug the pump station. He didn't unplug it. A neighbor stopped him, but 3 of Gerald's neighbors did follow their lists. They left at 4:15, and Gerald, standing at his window, watched them walk out into the field behind the houses, out toward the tree line, north. And he watched them stop and stand in the dark, facing away. Dozens of them, from all the houses, all facing the same direction, perfectly still. And then he said the thing that stopped my heart. He said, "Wes, they're not gone. They came back. Around 4:30, they turned around and walked back to their houses, and now they're standing at my door, and my son is one of them, and he's smiling. And he keeps saying, 'It's my turn now, Dad. It's such a relief. Come look north with me.'" I asked Gerald the question I had to ask. Is your son hurt? Is he bleeding? Is he wrong? Is he a monster? And Gerald said no. That's the worst of it. He said, "No, he looks fine. He looks happy. Happier than I've seen him since he was small. He's just not asking me anything. He's only telling me, 'Come outside, look north, it's my turn.'" There it is again. They don't ask, they tell. Whatever's north, whatever you see when you look north, it doesn't kill you. I'm nearly sure of that now. It converts you. It fills you with relief and certainty and the desire to bring one more person out to look. And it takes away the one thing that makes you you. It takes away your questions. A person without questions isn't dead. But they're not alive the way you and I are alive. Sitting here in the dark. Both of us right now, wondering what happens next. Keep wondering. Wondering is the whole fight. At 4:38, the lights in the studio dropped to half. We're on backup power now. The little red exit sign is the brightest thing in here, and the board's running off the UPS battery, which gives me maybe 2 hours, maybe less. The transmitter's on the tower's own generator, so I can keep talking. That's something. As long as the tower stands, this signal goes out. But the grid is going, section by section. And I can hear it happening in the calls. A woman in the northern part of the county called to say her lights went out at 4:34. A man 20 miles south said his went at 4:37. It's marching. It's moving south, and it's moving on a schedule. And the schedule matches the lists the breakers people were told to throw, the substations they were sent to. The ones who complied did the job. The grid is being taken down exactly the way the dead described, one note at a time, by our own hands. Somebody engineered a blackout using love as the tool, using our dead as the foreman. And here's the thing I can't stop turning over. Why the dark? Why do they need the power off? I think, and this is a guess, I want to be clear it's a guess, I think you can only look north in the dark. I think the lights are the thing that's been keeping us from seeing it all along. Whatever's out there, whatever you're supposed to face when you walk into the field, it's been there the whole time, and the glow of every street light and porch light and phone screen in the country has been a wall between us and it. They're taking the wall down. Renata just called. She's still parked at her gas station, and the gas station lights just went out, and she said very quietly, "Wes, I can see it now. To the north, I can see it. Oh." And then she stopped talking, Renata. I'm giving her a section of her own because she earned it. She talked me through it at the end. That's the kind of person she was, is, I don't know the tense anymore. Even as it took her, she narrated it, because I think some part of her knew I needed the data. And she was a trucker, and truckers give directions. She said, "It's not a light. Everybody keeps saying look north like there's a light. It's not a light. It's more like, you know, when you're driving at night, real late, and the road just goes and goes, and part of you wants to stop fighting the wheel and let it take you wherever it's going. It's that. It's the permission to stop steering." I said, "Renata, keep steering. Don't stop steering." And she laughed, soft, and she said, "I've been steering for 40 years, Wes. I steered when Emily died. I steered through the funeral. I've been steering this whole time, and nobody ever once told me I could stop." I said, "That's the trick. That's the lie. They're offering you rest so you'll walk out into it." And she said, "I know it's a trick. I know. That's what makes it kind." The line's still open. I haven't hung it up. I can hear her breathing, slow and even and content. And every few minutes she says, "You should come look, Wes. You'd like it. It's quiet." I turned the volume down on line 1. I didn't hang up. I couldn't. It's 4:56, and I want to do a head count of the living. The ones still calling in scared. Because as long as the scared keep calling, the fight's still on. There's Priya, outside her gas station, engine running, doors locked. And she started doing something smart. She's calling other living people from her contacts, waking them up, telling them the rule. Don't follow the list. Stay in the light while there's light. When the light goes, close your eyes and do not look north. There's a night nurse named Thomas at the county hospital, and Thomas gave me the most useful report of the night. He says the patients are calm. Too calm. The ones on the north side of the building especially. And the hospital's on its own generators, so it's still lit. And Thomas noticed that in the lit rooms, the patients are agitated, restless themselves, but the second a room goes dark, they go peaceful. Instantly. Like a switch. Light keeps you yourself. Dark opens the door. That's actionable. That's something I can broadcast. So here it is, and I'm going to repeat it. Because repetition is how you survive a night like this. Stay in the light. Any light. A candle, a flashlight, your car's dome light, the screen of a dead phone, even anything that puts a wall of brightness between you and the north. If your power's out, make light. If you can't make light, close your eyes, because it can't reach you if you don't look. Tomas said he's going room to room, turning on every light he can find. Battery lanterns, phone flashlights, pen lights, the works. He said, "I've got 40 patients, and I'm not losing them to the dark on my shift." Then he said, "Wes, keep talking. The sound helps too. The ones who can hear you on the little radios, they hold on longer. Your voice is doing something. Don't stop." so I won't. That's the deal now. Light and sound against the dark and the quiet. I finally figured out the 14 digits. Or I think I did. Let me walk you through it, because it might be the closest thing to an answer we get tonight. Every dead caller resolved to the same 14-digit number. I kept staring at it. And around 5:05, I did something I should have done hours ago. I stopped reading it as a phone number and started reading it as what it actually looked like. It's a timestamp, 14 digits. Year, month, day, hour, minute, second, and 2 more digits I couldn't place at first. The date is today. The time is 5:15 this morning. And the last 2 digits, I think they're a count. I think they're how many times this has happened before. The ham operator said 89 in 2004. That's twice that he knew of. The last 2 digits of the number are not 2. They're much higher, which means this has happened many more times than anyone remembers, all through history, small enough to be a legend. A plague village, a ship that went quiet. A night everyone in a valley walked into the woods, and the survivors never spoke of it. Small enough that we filed it under folklore. And it's building to 5:15. I don't know what 5:15 is. I don't know if it's when the dark finishes moving south and reaches me, or when the ones who look north finish whatever they're being gathered to do, or when the thing on the other end of all these calls simply arrives, fully, having been dialing us up piece by piece all night to prepare the ground. It's 5:09 now. 6 minutes. I've spent the whole night telling you not to follow the list. I've spent it saying, keep your questions, stay in the light, don't stop steering. I'm going to keep saying it. But I want to be honest with you. The way I promised at the start, I'm scared of 5:15. They reached my floor at 5:11. I heard the stairwell door open, the one right outside Studio B. And then footsteps in the hall. More than one set now, unhurried. The walk of people who have all the time in the world because they've stopped being people who run out of it. Then the knock. Not violent. That's what I need you to understand about all of this. Right to the end, nothing tonight has been violent. The knock was polite. 3 soft raps, the way you'd knock on a friend's door. And Marcus's voice, the security guard, said, "Hey, Wes, it's just me. I brought some folks. We're all going to go look together. There's room for you. There's room for everybody. That's the whole point, man. There's room for everybody." Then another voice under his, "Dwayne. Come on, buddy. You've been up all night. You've earned it." Then, softer, at the very back, Wesley. Just that. My father, or the thing wearing him, saying my name the way only he ever did. I've got the door locked. There's a fire door, steel, it holds. For now. But I understand the offer now. Fully. And I'll tell you why it's so hard to refuse. It's not threatening me. It never was. It's not the end of the world knocking on my door. It's the end of being tired. And I have been so tired, for so long, in this chair, in the dark, alone. 5:13. I'm still in the chair. 2 minutes. Let me use them right. I've been sitting here doing the math on why I'm not opening the door. And it isn't bravery, and it isn't even really fear anymore. It's simpler than that. They're offering me rest, peace, reunion. My father telling me he was never mad. No more questions, no more steering, no more 3 a.m. in a phone box talking to strangers who can't sleep. And I could take it. It would be easy. Might even be true. Maybe my father really is in there somewhere. Maybe Renata's rest is real. Maybe there's nothing north but the quiet everybody's been chasing their whole lives. But here's the thing they don't understand. The thing that's kept me in this chair all night. I don't want to stop. Not because I'm not tired. God, I'm tired. But being tired and staying anyway, the wanting to stop and not stopping, that's the most alive I've ever felt. That's the whole thing. That's what they can't offer. Because the second you look north, you don't want anything anymore. And a person who doesn't want anything isn't at peace. They're just done. I'm not done. I've got a board in front of me and a signal going out, and someone listening you. Whoever you are, in your car or your kitchen or your dark bedroom with a candle lit. You're still here too. That's not nothing. That's the whole fight, actually. 5:14. I stopped talking for the last minute. I'm sorry. I wanted to describe it to you as it happened. But when 5:15 came, I found I couldn't, so I just listened. And now I'll tell you what I heard. Nothing arrived. That's the first thing. I braced for something, the door coming down, the dark pouring in, some final voice. And instead, at exactly 5:15, everything went quiet. The knocking stopped. The footsteps in the hall stopped. The 6 phone lines, which had been lit all night, patient as a held breath, went dark. All at once, click, click, click down the board. And the voices, every voice I could hear through the door, Marcus, Dwayne, my father, went silent midword. For about 10 seconds, Studio B was more quiet than it has ever been in 11 years. Then, from the hallway, footsteps again. But different, uneven, confused. And Marcus's voice, but small now, wrong, like a man waking from a dream in a place he doesn't recognize, saying, Wes, are you... How did I get up here? Why is it so dark? He was asking questions. I have never in my life been so glad to hear a man ask a stupid, frightened, human question. Whatever 5:15 was the arrival, the count, the deadline, it passed. And it didn't complete. Not here, not everywhere. I don't know why. Maybe there weren't enough. Maybe too many of us stayed in the light and kept our questions and refused to stop steering. Maybe the count needed a number it didn't reach. Maybe the ones still asking questions at 5:15 were the difference. I opened the door. Marcus was on his knees in the hall, alone, blinking, alive, terrified, himself. The others were gone. Let me tell you what dawn looked like, because it's 6:40 now, and there's gray light under the studio door, and I owe you the after. Not everyone came back. I want to be honest. The way I've tried to be all night. The ones who looked north early, the deep ones. The ones who'd been standing in the fields since 4:30. A lot of them didn't return. Gerald called at 6, and he was crying. And he said his son was gone. Not dead. Gone. The house was empty, and the field was empty, and there was just a line of footprints leading north into the tree line, and none coming back. But the ones who got taken late, the ones who'd only just started, the Marcuses, they woke up. Confused, hollowed out, missing an hour they'll never account for. But themselves. The grid's still down across most of the county. The pumps are off. There are cars parked crooked under overpasses with their doors open and nobody inside. It's going to be a long day and a longer week. And there are a lot of empty houses that the daylight is only now starting to reveal. And here's the part I can't shake, the part I need to say before I lose the nerve. The last 2 digits. The count. It went up tonight. Whatever this is, it happened again. And it'll be in the folklore now. The night the dead called and half a county walked north. And in 80 years or 100, it'll be a story nobody believes. Until it dials up again. The ham operator was right. It's not an ending. It's a cycle. It comes when it comes, small enough to forget. And it takes what it can, and it goes. We didn't beat it. I want to be clear about that. We just didn't give it enough. Renata's line is still open on my board. I finally hung it up a few minutes ago. I'm sorry, Renata. You were right. It was quiet. It's almost 7. The sun's up. I can hear birds through the vent, which shouldn't move me the way it does. But it does. So there it is. I'm going to stay on the air a while longer, because Tomas was right, the voice helps. And there are people out there this morning waking up alone in houses that used to have more people in them. And somebody should be talking to them. Somebody should be up. That's the job. It's always been the job. I just never knew what it was for until tonight. If you're hearing this, you made it. Whatever you did, the candle, the closed eyes, the refusing to look, the calling someone alive just to hear them breathe, it worked. You're still here. You're still asking what happens next. Hold on to that. That question is the whole thing. Don't ever let anyone take it, not even someone you love. Not even someone you'd give anything to hear again, especially not them. Charge your phones. Leave a light on tonight, and tomorrow night, and for a while. Call the living. And if a number you buried ever lights up your screen again, you can look at it. You can even miss them. Just don't pick up the list. This is Wes Cardell. You've been listening to WKRL 89.1. I'm still here. Stay in the light. This is Lost Signal Broadcast. Subscribe and turn on the bell for the next signal. Leave your report below. Until then, keep your radio close.